Frank Sanchez. I'm the high school principal, and I have the pleasure of being the principal here of Columbia High School, specifically the class of 2026, which sounds crazy for me after graduating in class of 1992. It does sound crazy. But I just wanted to say hello. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Antone, our brand new director of counseling. So I'm sure you've already worked with her if you have any questions. And we have two rock star counselors here to going to be presenting, and that's Miss Kate Facto and Miss Danielle Mooney Chavez. Before we start that, though, we're going to have a special, Maddie, we're going to have a special presentation, right? A quick presentation of our great benefactor, and that is the CHS Scholarship Fund. So I hope everyone is listening before we move on to our presentation. And would you like to? I can't wait to the Red and Black Gala is just like a couple weeks away.
On the
right?
27th of September, our Red and Black fundraiser.
Yeah,
so kick off the fundraising season.
Do you want to start before we introduce Mr. McCormick? Is that cool?
I could be really quick too.
No, please.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
This is the class that needs to learn about what you provide.
I don't want to hear I never knew. I'm Madeline Tugetman. I'm the president of the Columbia High School Scholarship Fund. Yes, Columbia High School has a scholarship fund. It is a need-based program that was put in place in 1923 to help students continue with their education after high school. The funds can be used toward any 2 4-year college, trade, technical school, or certificate program. For the 2025-2026 school year, we awarded $238,000 to 135 seniors and Columbia High School graduates. We are on an application process. Applications will be available online at the beginning of February. The trustees go into the school the first week in March to hand out applications and answer any questions. Applications are processed and students are notified by email the beginning of June. Again, it's a need-based program. You can reach out to me at chssf.org. I have a 24-hour turnaround, so I will get back to you. We are having a fundraiser on the 27th. Mr. Sanchez is going to be one of our guest speakers. So please look at our website. If you have nothing to do and you want to feel really good and be inspired, please come. If you want to donate, please donate. One thing I want you to know, though, is that we are not part of the HSA. We are not part of Achieve. We are an independent nonprofit organization. So when you donate directly to us, and we give the money in turn to the students in need. Have a wonderful senior year. I hope you enjoy, and I hope your student does great.
Maddie,
Thank you.
I just want to say, again, thank you. $250,000 was donated last year. $250,000 the year before and the year before that.
Yeah, well,
It's been incredible.
thank you, sir.
And so we thank you for your service, and I'm looking forward to the gala is, where is it, on the Orange
It's
Club?
at the Maplewood Tennis Club, the little club on
Yes.
Ridgewood Avenue, on Ridgewood
Yeah.
Road. It has parking is available, first come, first served.
That's true.
And thank you to all the guidance counselors. You were such a big help to us last year. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Bye-bye.
send that information out.
Great.
I'm going to try to, I don't know why there's no Q&A. I'm going to try to allow that to happen so I can help man that. But I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Antone and her fabulous counselors.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Welcome. Good evening. A warm welcome to all of you. As Principal Sanchez said, my name is Jen Antone. I have the distinct honor of serving as the district's Director of Counseling and Social Work. And we're going to talk tonight about a subject near and dear to all the counseling hearts, which is getting our seniors across that finish line and making sure that they have an incredibly meaningful, purposeful senior year. So I'm just going to take a moment to introduce the rest of our hosts tonight. As Mr. Sanchez said, we have one of our lead counselors, Danielle Mooney Chavez, with us tonight. And we also have the wonderful Kate Facto, who is our another one of our incredible school counselors serving grades 10 through 12. And we have our senior class assistant principal, Mr. Phil McCormick, who's here with us tonight. Okay. Forgive me, I'm going to need to say next slide to whoever is able to do the slides. Awesome. Okay. So take note, if you are only the parent of a senior, you may not need to worry about these first 3 upcoming nights. But if you have more than one child at Columbia High School, this will be an important slide for you. We have our upcoming junior parent night at the end of the month, September 30th at 7 p.m., followed by our sophomore parent night, October the 7th, and our freshman parent night, where we are going to talk about all things being a freshman and our wonderful freshman academy. And last but not least, we also have our financial aid night, October 14th, and we will be providing a link on that. All right. And we got to hear all about the wonderful scholarship opportunities. We'll be pushing out information throughout the year on that. Check our website, check our newsletter, more information to come. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McCormick, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the important senior pieces. Mr. McCormick, I think you're muted.
Okay. All right. Can everyone hear me? I'm sorry. All right. Awesome. So I'll just talk to you about a couple of things as we get started this evening. Once again, I'm Phil McCormick. I am your 12th grade assistant principal. So a couple of the major things that I oversee are attendance, culture, climate, restorative practices, and 504s. So first and foremost, attendance. I just want to reiterate 3 numbers that hopefully your young people have etched in their minds at this point, and that's 18, 9, and 5. 18 refers to the number of absences, unexcused absences that a student can have in a full year class in order to retain credit. 9, the maximum allowable number of unexcused absences in a semester class, and 5 for a quarter class. So what that means is, as we're asking our young people to monitor their attendance, those are those important numbers to be mindful of in terms of the threshold at which the state allows us to award credit for classes in terms of absences. Second thing that I wanted to talk to you about was a little bit about, I'm just going to go out of order for a moment, senior parking. I'll talk to you about senior parking because that started today. So there are approximately 65 parking spaces available on campus. It's at our on West Parker Ave, approximately 1 block west of the school. So that went into effect today. And the way that we do this is via a lottery system. So to try to keep things as fair and equitable as possible, what we allow students to do is to complete an application at the start of each quarter, showing their interest in having a parking space. They need to be in good standing to qualify, good standing behaviorally and in terms of cutting and attendance. So that's really what we use as a qualifier. Students then get put into a lottery. We run the lottery, and the 65 students that who are pulled get a parking space for that quarter. The way that we make this as fair and equitable is for the next quarter, when we run the application process. Anyone who already got a parking space won't be in the lottery the second time until all students have had an opportunity to find a space. So I just want to let you know that that's how we're running parking. That will be for each quarter throughout the school year. The third thing I want to talk to you about is senior privilege. Senior privilege is an opportunity to open CHS a little more mirroring sort of a college campus for our seniors. Again, seniors in good standing, so 90 credits or more, and good standing behaviorally and attendance-wise. There is an ongoing senior privilege application going through Friday, so it's not too late to sign up for it. The qualifications are that a student needs 90 credits, as I mentioned, and they need to have a study hall in their schedule. So, for example, if a student has period 3 study hall, they can have that upgraded to senior privilege if they apply and they are in good standing. What that means is senior privilege essentially is like having nothing in their schedule. We reserve that only for seniors, so it's kind of like a free period where students can go to the library, our brand new library. They can go to the commons. They can go to the cafeteria during the lunch period. But it's sort of an open school kind of feeling for our seniors with senior privilege. Where it gets a little even better, in my opinion, is when we're talking period 1, 5, 6, 7, or 8. If a kid has, I shouldn't say a kid, if a young person has senior privilege during a period that's attached to the beginning of their day, a period attached to the end of their day, or a period attached to their lunch, it can also become an open campus. So, for example, let's say a kid has period 1 senior privilege, they don't have to be in the building going somewhere period 1. They can simply arrive period 2. If a young person has period 6 lunch and then they have senior privilege 7th, they can uh, they can stay off campus. If they went off campus 6th period for lunch, they can stay off campus 7th. So again, senior privilege, it is an opportunity to have sort of a flexible schedule. It is open building during non-lunch periods, and it's open campus during lunch periods, period 1 and period 8. I do have a handout for you that will explain everything that I mentioned here, and I'll refer that to you all in a few moments in case you didn't take notes on that. Senior portraits are, that's my third agenda item. Senior portraits, we have one more run of senior portraits happening. That will be Monday, October 20th, Tuesday, October 21st, Wednesday, October 22nd, from 2:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the CHS auditorium. You received a letter from me on or around September 1st with information about how to sign up. You'll want to find that so that you can sign up. If you want to reach out to Lours directly, I'm going to give you their info right now. You can email them at customerservice@loursstudio.com. Once again, that's customerservice@loursstudio.com. You can also call them at 908-964-84, I'm sorry, 964-0847. Again, that's 908-964-0847. Finally, the last thing that I have for you, and this is probably the most important because pretty much everything that I shared with you about senior class stuff will be here. We have a senior class information hub website on the school website. So if you go to somsdk12.org, you'll want to hover near the top right. You're going to see Columbia High School. Hover and click that. You're going to see a tab that says Students. Click that, and then click Senior Class. On this page, you will see pretty much every handout that went out. So letters that were sent about senior year activities, information about senior privilege, parking, senior portraits, all of that is there. So essentially, you can find that info there. Of course, if you have any questions, you can email me. My email address is pmccormi@somsdk12.nj.us. My extension is 1022, though email is usually the best way to get me. And of course, your young people can stop by my office anytime. Thank you. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, I think I am up next. Oops, sorry, everybody. So the first thing we wanted to share with you is about CHS Cougar Cares. This is an amazing program. They provide funds for food support during the year, supplies during the year. We have clothing and whatnot, but also for seniors, this is really, really important because they want to make sure that every single senior can participate in every single end of year activity. So that means like they provide financial support for prom, for Midnight Madness. They have a prom shop with prom attire. There's a lot of things that they will provide for. So please, please do not hesitate to either reach out directly to them or come to one of us in the counseling office, and we'll help with the connection. But they are very, very willing to help and sometimes feel like not enough people are reaching out when they need it. So please, even if it means like you pay for some things, but you need a little help with something else, like that's fine. You know, they'll support as much as they can. HSA as well. Please join HSA. There are no membership dues. They send out a really nice weekly newsletter, a lot of helpful information. They have volunteer opportunities. They work with Cougar Cares, like I just mentioned. They work on Midnight Madness, which maybe I don't know if I should explain that, but you know, it's basically like a secret trip, right? That they take after. Feel free to chime in, somebody else, but they take after graduation, and it's sort of top secret, and it's phone free. They take a bus there. I don't know. Anything else?
Oh,
don't
Midnight
really know.
Madness is incredible. I can't tell you where it's going to be planned for this June. It's top secret, and they don't let me know because I usually don't keep secrets. So.
Yes, and we don't know in the counseling office either. And they also help with teacher appreciation events, which is pretty great. Their contact information is all here. They have Instagram and Facebook and email address and whatnot. So please connect with them. They're very, very helpful. Okay, PowerSchool Canvas. We've had a lot of comments about this. So right there, big on the screen is Miss Anderson's contact info. That is the person supporting us in the library right now. So if your student has problems with their own PowerSchool credentials, their Google or their Canvas, they should go to Miss Anderson in the library. Her email address is also there and her extension. Parents, if you need help with PowerSchool, please email Parent Portal Help. They will help you. Librarians and counselors and staff do not have access to your PowerSchool. Okay, graduation status, senior meetings. Your counselor will be reaching out regarding graduation needs. We encourage all students to look over their transcripts and self-audit. If they need a transcript, they can come to the counseling office. We'll print it for them or email them or whatever. Please work with your student to make sure they're aware of their graduation needs. Of course, we in the counseling office will help with that as well. Senior meetings are coming up soon. We will send out info about that in the very near future. And those senior meetings, we love to meet with parents and students and kind of go over all of the college application process. Okay, some post-secondary options to consider. Don't just think about four-year college as the only option, right? There's two-year colleges, career and technical programs, military, work, gap year. There's a lot of programs out there, and we have a lot of info in the counseling office. We're happy to help make connections with all of these different types of things. Okay, various platforms for college applications. So Common App, if you don't know anything about it yet, Common App is where your student will make an account and they will fill out the application. That's where they do the essays and write about their activities and all of that stuff. Score is where you can search for, I'll show you in a minute, but you'll search for schools, you can kind of organize yourself and whatnot, but for us, for our purposes, it is for sending rec letters, transcripts, and other important documents to the schools. So your student sends from Common App, the counselors send from Score, and all of that connects at the school. So if a student has like your rec letter is missing on Common App, don't worry, we're sending it through SCORE. So really you should just be checking with the school that they have everything on their end. Also, your student needs a College Board or ACT account where they will register for SATs and ACTs. We don't register them for that, they do that. However, if you need help with a waiver for the cost of testing, please come let us know. We can support that. Also, you should have a FAFSA account for the financial aid, and I believe still all students need to complete that as a graduation requirement. So whether or not you're thinking about financial aid, you still need to do the FAFSA. Finally, the SRAR, self-reported academic record. Some schools ask students to input their classes and their grades on their own. So just be mindful that if a school is asking for that, even though we're submitting a transcript, the student should still complete the SRAR. So this is a little glimpse of what SCORE looks like. That's where students can add colleges, right? So we need them to add every college they plan to apply to. They must put the school in applying or applied for us to have access, for us meaning the counselors, to have access to those schools and send those schools documents. If they have schools lined up and following, we can't see them. Mr. Sanchez, looks like you want to chime in.
Yeah, Ms. Facto, when the students who go to international schools, we have a lot of students actually, like every year, like probably 5 or 6 students, which is a lot, who go to international schools. They are included in this SCORE process. Is that correct? Because there's a parent asking if they go to some international systems, counselors can still go through there, right? And follow the process.
So yes, for some, and some schools will ask us to work with their system. So
Okay.
that's kind of individualized. We often have like, a student just giving us a heads up, or if they submit our email address, we'll get an alert from that school, like, please send the transcript for this student. So there's both. And in a slide or two, I'll also mention that there's a couple other application systems that some schools, particularly in the South, might use as well. So we do work with other systems. Most things are on SCORE though.
Perfect. Thank you.
There's this really cool feature on SCORE called the scattergram, where you can look at where your student falls amongst the past 10 years of Columbia High School graduates, right, who went to a particular school. So you can look for
the scattergram. We love that.
Yes. So here's an example with Rutgers, right? So there'll be this looks a little different than what I normally see, but there's usually like a little star that represents a person. Maybe this is the student here. And then you can kind of see where you fall based on your GPA and your test scores. Right now, you'll have up till junior year GPA in there, and probably PSAT scores unless they took an SAT or ACT recently in the spring. And we can explain more about how to use this in our senior meetings.
I love the SCORE. I love the scattergram.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah, it's
very
really
valuable tool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is what I mentioned earlier about the different kinds of application systems. Common App is the most common. A lot of your schools will be on there. Please check that first before you go into any other application system. If your school's on Common App, that's the best way to do it, because you do the application once and you can send it to all different schools. There's also a Coalition app, not as common, but it's out there. For HBCUs, some HBCUs use the Common Black College app. And sometimes, like for example, with the international schools, sometimes the college might use their own website. But again, check Common App first for the school before doing all of these other things. Okay, college application process. Now is the time to make sure you're identifying which colleges you want to apply to, especially if you want to do early action or early decision. Early action is just saying to the school, hey, I'd like you to take a look at my application early on. I'm very interested in your school. It is not binding. Early decision, you sign a contract that is binding, that says if you get into that school, you agree to go to that school. You know, really sort of map out like what's realistic in terms of finishing your application, and thinking about like if you have a test that you have to, the SAT or ACT or something that you have to study for, if you have to work on the essay, like kind of plan out, you know, you'll know your needs in terms of time. And I think Ms. Mooney Chavez, you're going to talk about the essays, right? Or is it still me? We can't hear you.
Oh, no, you can't hear
Now
me?
we hear you, yeah.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. And I always put this disclaimer on every virtual presentation. I have 3 small children and I moved my dad in, so that's another saucy mix. So if you hear any, crazy noises, please ignore. So Kate went over basically like the 2 platforms, so SCORE versus Common App. I'm going to kind of go over the main moving pieces involved to the college application process. So basically, the Common App is where they actually do their physical application, answering the questions, but it's also where the essays are embedded. And I'll show you a slide that will kind of show you that visual. And what do we, want to put in the essay? Basically, it's a chance to talk about who you are off of the transcript and test scores, all right? So what your story is. It is time consuming. So this is something that we really want to, plan out time management wise. And in addition to the essay, there will be schools that also require sometimes several supplemental essays. So these are not full-blown essays, but really healthy, open-ended responses. And they're going to ask questions like, well, why is UVM the right fit for you? So this is where I call it for my students. I tell them like a little elevator pitch. You kind of want to show off your research. If you've been to the campus, you could talk about the vibe. They love that. So things that, just showing that you have done your research. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is just kind of like a little visual of what the Common App would look like. So you have a bunch of tabs there. The Common App tab is where all the kind of basic demographic questions live, and embedded in that will be your the writing, the essay. Okay, not every school requires an essay, but I really always encourage students to submit something just to stack your deck as high as you can. Next slide. Okay, and these are like the other, this is kind of like an older interface of Common App, but the other tab where it says My Colleges, that's what it's showing right now. This is where basically your student will add their college on Common App. So if you look at the 4th tab, it says College Search. When your student clicks on that college search, they're going to type in the college they want to apply to. If the college does not come up, it could be one of 2 reasons. Either the name of the college is misspelled or the school does not participate with Common App. And the majority of schools do. But there are some, maybe some art schools, some international schools, some HBCUs that don't. So if they don't use Common App, that's okay. You can still apply directly on the website, but it just means another platform for the student. So we really encourage the use of Common App as much as possible because it's the most streamlined way. So once you find your college and you hit like add college, it's going to populate under this tab where it says My College, and you'll see it all list. And then each college you can actually expand. And as you expand it, you'll see that in addition to those generic and general demographic Common App questions, that each individual college will also have their individual questions to answer as well. And also the supplements will be in there. Okay. I also have the FERPA page up for a reason. I know this causes a lot of confusion. Waiving your FERPA rights is basically saying, I know I have letters of recommendation, but I'm not going to be able to see them. I'm going to waive my right. And we really encourage that for students because it basically just tells the colleges like, hey, listen, this letter came pure from the heart. There was no outside pressure. Because think about it, a person's not going to write a letter of rec for someone, like they don't want to support, right? So I know some teachers will not even write the letter unless the FERPA is waived. And I believe you have to do it on both Common App and SCORE, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so that's what that means. Once the rights are waived, they cannot be unwaived. Okay, next slide. Okay, so just a highlight change for this particular class. As we jump into talking about letters of rec, right? The thing that helps us and the teachers write the letters of recommendation is the survey questions. Naviance days, if you had older siblings, they were called the brag sheets. So basically, the surveys were just questions that helped us write the letter. They're now called forms. So SCORE has sunsetted them. But I did get in touch with SCORE because I was a little bit nervous doing this presentation, like, oh gosh, what does it mean? But I was assured that the forms, if the students did the surveys, they will already be there. We can still view them. Or if they didn't do the surveys are still there. We just moving forward are not going to create any new surveys. And most likely down the road, we'll switch it over to the form sector. But it's important especially if you have a new counselor or you've changed counselor, it's really important to get those survey questions filled out. The teachers and parents, you guys have a counselor survey for us too. And I really love writing my letter with like a trifecta of like what I know about the student, what the student says about themselves, and also what the parent says about the student. Because, sometimes it's awkward for people to talk about themselves and sometimes they're humble. So I really like having that blend. But the teachers, this is where it can get a little bit different. So the majority of teachers, yes, I will do the survey for you. Great. So the student actually has to ask the teacher formally, and I'll go over that a little bit more detail, and then, request it and then do the survey. It's kind of a 3-pronged process. But not all teachers use the survey. So they may say, hey, I'll write your letter, but I have this form that I want you to do. Or, hey, I have this interview I want you to do. So just it's familiar. It's good for the student to say, hey, what is the process for you writing my letter? Okay. And just let us know if, oh yeah, my daughter just sneaked down. Let us know if a teacher is not visible on SCORE. That's something I can help. And if I'm running into a snag, I can always reach out to SCORE support. Okay, next slide. Okay. And I did put the support at score.com. They're fantastic. Anytime I'm having an issue. So please, take a screenshot. I know this will be posted, but this is something that if you're having SCORE issues, they're super quick. And as Kate Facto said, it's so important to have the colleges in the applying or applied column in SCORE. There's no request transcript button. I know the old system of Naviance had that. We don't have that in SCORE. So as long as we have schools in applying or applied, that's our green light to go ahead and send those materials. Okay. There are some colleges though that will ask for you to report your own records, your own transcript. So those are usually the big state schools, known as the SRAR, self-reported academic record. I know Rutgers uses it, Pitt, I believe, UDEL even, maybe Penn State. So that's another portal, but it's basically just, they're so busy and they have so many applicants that they just don't want to wait for transcripts. So the student has to actually individually enter their courses. Okay. And then you may also have to do this on the Common App. Some colleges require it. I know it feels like a lot of redundancy, but here we are. One of the biggest things I want you all to get out of this night is please give us grace. We all know the start of the year is crazy. I know we had rolling deadlines. Everybody wants all their stuff in, but when we get to school, it's like, schedule. So we're just starting to feel a little calmer. But we do ask that 2 weeks in advance is really kind of the golden rule when you're requesting a transcript, a letter, and even for the test scores, have that 2-week buffer. Okay. Because it's really hard for a student to come in and have a 10-15 deadline and to tell us on the 14th and the schools aren't in SCORE, so we didn't know, and now we're scrambling. So it's really just a good planning tool. Next.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell everybody a little secret here. We do get a lot of college admissions people starting just today. We had University of Chicago, Rutgers, Chapman was here. And these are the people who are reading the early action admission stuff, right? So they're just at high schools all across New Jersey and across the state in their territories. And they're not really getting to your stuffs. Now, I do understand some college counselors that some of us have paid for are saying, hey, you got to submit everything by September 1st. That's just not true. Like if it's rolling action, if it's certain due, it's the due date. Your college counselor may want to get you off the books and kind of say, okay, everything is submitted and everything is ready. But that's not the case for college admissions, because we asked them, like today I asked, hey, you guys have rolling action. Is there a benefit for someone to hand something in on August 30th versus September 15th versus September 30th? And they're like, I'm the one who's going to read everything, and I'm not opening the portal until then. So just want to put that in everybody's ear to let you know that that might be what your college counselor says, but I'm telling you that is not what we're hearing from college admissions officers who come into our building every single day. And again, we had 5 today, and it was great to see them. So just want to put that in there, just to add that.
Okay, thank you, Sanchez, for that woosah moment. We needed it. Appreciate you. Okay, next slide, Ms. Facto, please. Okay, so this is just a little visual. I love this about SCORE, the little buckets, the columns. So all the way to the left, you're going to look at the colleges where it's kind of like your draft list, right? Things maybe you're playing around sophomore, junior year, doing some research. But it is the applying and applied to the second and third column that is most important, okay? And again, you can just move the colleges over from column to column. The third column, I like to call it the done bucket. That means, oh, I'm done. I hit submit, just not thinking about it anymore. But again, leaving it in that first column or not having it on SCORE at all is not a good place to be, because that is not going to come up on our radar. So in terms of asking for college letters of rec, like I said, 3-pronged process. I think it's nice to ask in person. We would have loved if they did it in June. I know that might not be possible all the time. So sooner the better, because we don't want to have a teacher say, oh my God, I would love to, but I already committed to 50 letters and I'm just not going to have that bandwidth. So definitely the sooner the better. After they agree, whether it's an email or in person, you're going to do 2 more things. So this is where people get tripped up also. There's this little like blue, it says application documents. I know it's very small, but that will trigger kind of like a pop-up box. Ms. Facto, can you go to the next slide, please? So that pop-up box, it will be empty, but you're going to see something like add new requester. And then you're going to say who the teacher is. Do you want his letter to go to all your schools, certain schools? And then you're going to hit submit. And that's basically like an official invite to the teacher. So that's the most important part. And then don't forget, there's the survey for the teachers, okay? But again, we're checking with the teacher. Do you want to use a survey or do you have another method? Because what some students think is that once they do the teacher survey, that's the formal request and invite. It's not. It's like the pre-writing for the letter, okay? So I emphasize that every year. It doesn't matter. It still happens. So here's to 2026. I have faith. And you can actually see this green. This is a good feature. So like the first time you request it, it will say maybe orange, like requested. And then the teacher will change it to like, I'm working on it, in purple. And then when it's done, it will be in green. So that's kind of a way that the students can see the status. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So I just also wanted to kind of show you some other features on SCORE. On the top right-hand corner, next to you see that Columbia insignia there. Those 3 bars, that is kind of like the drop down, like a shortcut. So that's where you'll find the surveys, also like a shortcut. You'll also find in that little top right, it will be the events, so that the colleges that are coming, that Mr. Sanchez is coming about, and the students can actually register through that. But the kids are a lot of times on their app with the phone. Like, I don't like that. I just feel like it's too small, but they seem to know what they're doing. So next slide. So a couple of special programs we want to highlight. If your student is free or reduced lunch, you may be eligible, the student may be eligible to be an EOF student. So that would be for colleges in New Jersey, making a certain kind of income. There's a whole formula for it. But definitely, if you are a free or reduced lunch student and you are applying in New Jersey, just click yes. Click yeah, why not? Let's see if we can get any funding. They usually do like a summer program, and it's a good kind of wraparound enrichment service to get them ready for the fall. And also,
Ms. Minnie Chavez, I just wanted to share that the EOF deadlines are often different than the application deadlines and are earlier. So if you think you may be eligible for that program, the offices do wonderful outreach in your child's top colleges that they want to possibly go to next year. And so just be mindful of that deadline. And those offices do their own sort of outreach off of admissions. So by all means, that's a great route to take, and has wonderful student support services for those prospective college students.
Great, thank you, Dr. Antone. And then in addition to EOF, we also have the NCAA. So I don't know, I had quite a few potential recruits on my caseload this year. So last year I was busy sending transcripts and all this other stuff. So it is important that if you are considering being recruited, that you register through the NCAA clearinghouse. I just want to make sure your high school courses match what NCAA wants. And then we also will need to send a final transcript to the clearinghouse as well. So please make sure the student communicates to their counselor about that, just so that we have all of our T's crossed and I's dotted. Okay, next slide. Okay, so just to kind of recap some moving pieces of the application process, we have the application, we have the essay embedded in that, and also the supplementals. We have the transcript and letters of rec. That's what the counselors will send via SCORE. I know Dr. Antone is going to talk a little bit more about standardized testing and the FAFSA, which is the financial piece. But so once all those moving pieces are, the train has left the station, then it's like, okay, now what? So these are some ways in which we can apply to school. And then in a further slide, I'll go over the outcome. So the different timelines in which we can apply to school, there's a few of them. So ED and EA, early decision, early action, I like to call these my early bird specials. Okay, so these usually have the same timeline. So we're talking November 1, November 15, as early as 10/15. You Southern schools are killing us. But that's really important to just be like, okay, am I doing early action or ED? And if I am, when's my deadline? The difference between the two, and it's a big difference. So early decision is a binding contract, which means if you get in, you have to go. Okay. So we just want to really make sure students are aware, parents are aware of that commitment. There's an actual extra contract thing to send in with the transcript and everything. Early action has, it has a perk because, you still get it done earlier. You hear back earlier. You could be eligible for some merit aid possibly. However, it's non-binding. So if you get in, you do not have to go. So you can apply both ED and early action if you'd like. There's also ED2, which kind of has become somewhat little popular. So ED2 is like, hey, I applied somewhere ED1 and I got deferred, or I didn't get in. But now I'm going to apply to this school, ED2. So that timeline is usually in January. So that's kind of like another play we can use. Restrictive early action, those are more so kind of for the elite Ivies. You have to look into that. It just means you can't apply to another REA school, restrictive early action school. So regular early action is fine, but you can't apply to kind of two early action schools of the same caliber. You could probably apply to a state school and an REA school early action, but it's just really good to visit the websites and to get the knowledge behind that. Rolling, love rolling. Columbia loves rolling, according to my inbox. So rolling means there's no deadline. Just as long as they have everything that they need from you, they can make a decision in a few weeks and get back to you. A lot of times these rolling schools are not even looking at letters of recommendation. They'll have you self-report your own transcript. So that's nice. I just think that's a nice kind of pressure off, getting an early decision, earlier in the year. And regular decision, those deadlines are usually Jan 1, Feb 1. Jersey schools could be a little later, March, April even. Rutgers as early as December 1 because they're so dang popular. So that's kind of like what some students do is they'll have some early schools on their list and then they'll have some regular, because what's nice about the early is if we hear back, we then have that regular list to deal with. Okay. All right, next slide. Okay, and Dr. Antone, this is all you. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that, parents. We are almost there. I know that was a whole lot of information. As I mentioned in the chat, please know that we are here with you throughout the process. So this is the final section we're going to present tonight. And that is, what do we do about test scores? Test scores come from the official score report, comes from the platform of the test that your child is choosing to send. Some colleges require it, some don't. Some are optional. And your child would send it directly from collegeboard.org or from the actstudent.org. We do request that your scores be sent at least 2 weeks prior to application deadlines. Of course, with everything being digital these days, it does make for expedient delivery with your application packets. Okay, just a couple of best practices. Know your college's SuperScore policies. This is under the admissions tab, apply tab on the college websites. Some colleges accept self-reported test scores. Ms. Mooney Chavez talked about that a little bit earlier. Some do not. Many colleges are still test optional, although we overall see a trend coming back a little bit from that. You can view up-to-date list at fairtest.org. And again, we try to hit all of these materials 2 weeks before the deadline. Folks, senior year is chock full of deadlines. And we will do our best to send out reminders and make sure that during the school year that we are helping students meet those deadlines. All right, and admissions decisions, these are what we will eventually see with those completed applications. A student can be accepted without any caveat with there. A student that uses an earlier window can be deferred to regular decision, and you will not have to necessarily reapply. A student can be waitlisted, and a student can be, unfortunately denied. We do not have insight into the inner workings of the admissions decision-making. All we can do is support your student and ensure that they have next steps for them. I do see a couple of questions on when we are going to be doing our senior meetings. As soon as add drop period is over, which is September 22nd, we will finish our cleanup of scheduling processes for the summer and the early fall. And then we are going to move towards the last preparation steps on SCORE, and we will be meeting with seniors. We're shooting for the last week of September. Okay, financial aid, 2 important forms to be mindful of, and that is the free application for financial aid, and we've provided that website, and also the CSS profile. Folks, don't worry about this right now. We are going to explicate both of these forms and the overall process on our financial aid night coming up on October 14th. By applying to financial aid, we are also satisfying the latest in the state graduation requirements, which is to ensure that folks like us are sharing out all of the necessary information for all students, regardless of documentation, about how to access this type of aid. Of course, let's not forget what really matters, and that is your students' sense of belonging, sense of self-worth, the connections we are making in this very, very important year for senior year, knowing that mental health assistance is always available at Columbia High School. and in the community, and to make sure we take care of ourselves. Self-care is very, very important. And we will be pushing out as much messaging as we're going to be pushing out about next steps after high school. We'll also be pushing out programs and resources to ensure that your child's mental health is being taken care of. All right. And yes, a couple of questions in the chat. Counselors will let families know when those senior meetings are, and they are coming up.
Yeah, we'll send out emails. Like I think today we sent out a counseling newsletter that for September, but we'll be sending out emails in the next 2 weeks about registering and scheduling senior meetings. I do want to say the class of 2026, I think here at Columbia High School has done an incredible job. They've really matured since freshman year, and I'm so happy to see them about to graduate. And they're in great hands with our counselors, with Dr. Antone and Mr. McCarthy as your assistant principal. Mr. McCormick, I'm sorry, not Mr. McCarthy, Mr. McCormick as the assistant principal.
I don't know who that is, but there you go.
We have, it's going to keep you. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was thinking you're like a beetle, I think is what I was thinking, Phil. You guys are in great hands. I'm very excited about this senior year, and I was so happy to see them in their parking lot on the first day. I remember them as cherub freshmen, and now they're about to graduate. So seriously, this team is ready for them. And they're excited, and just seeing them actually at today's first college thing, they're really psyched and ready to. I know it's a stressful year. Believe me, I get it, and we'll be there to support them throughout this year, and be there for them. So I just wanted to make sure everybody is ready for a great 2026 school year. I guess there's a lot of questions. I mean, some questions about choosing general recommendation or score. I'm not sure what those are, but
Yeah, let me speak to that because it causes a lot of confusion. So just so you guys know, SCORE has recently introduced a merged version where it can talk to Common App. It showed us what some of the pros were and some of the cons were. And we reviewed it as a department actually before Dr. Antone got here. So we can totally move forward another way in the future. It just looked like if we merged them, we wouldn't have as much like control, for lack of a better word, of what letters got sent to which schools. And I just know, and my colleagues agreed, that can be very important to students. So we were afraid to kind of say yes to something and not know how it would impact that. So just to play it safe, we kind of, sat back for another year. I know it is annoying to have the two things that you have to look at, but in terms of the Common App, it is just the questions, the essay, the supplements. The students will be asked to put a recommender, but they could just put our names. Like that's it, just for completion. But all of the document sending is done through SCORE. And why that's important also is because we can see it. We can see what gets sent when. Just like there was a question about an outside letter writer if you're not a teacher. That you could totally just send to admissions or do through Common App. There's actually a feature for that. But I like it when my students share my email with the outside letter writer, then that person gives it to me directly and I upload it with their name, their position, and I send it just like a teacher. So I know
that's for like their, I'm sorry,
no, you're fine.
That's for like their third person, right? Isn't that what usually
yeah,
is?
we call it a third, we like to call it outside recommender because technically you could have 3 teachers if they really wanted. I know there's some kind of, there was a question about the retired teachers. That's always a thing. I have a teacher on leave right now, so the student got nervous. So I always say, hey, it's better just to have a plan B for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would think the third person is not really a teacher. It should be like a coach or some other person, maybe like they're like an Eagle Scout and it's like that person, right? I mean, I think, having a third teacher is not going to help anybody's application.
Okay, the question about can parents see the CHS letter explaining the APs that we offer and we don't rank? That's the school profile, and that's something that we
It's on the
can.
website.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we can share out. Sorry, I'm like typing. I'm usually the answerer, so I'm also sorry if I'm a little bit hungry on the chat. I'm just playing old habits die hard, so sorry about that.
Well, we want to thank all of the parents for these fantastic questions. Know that if you put a question into the chat, somebody else had that very same question. So we do appreciate these questions. It for some of us, it's the first time ushering children through this process, and for others, it may be the second or third in your family you've sort of ushered them in. But each experience is different, and each child is different, as we know.
Well, Dr. Antone, this video I'll be sending out probably by the end of tomorrow, if not the next day, to all seniors. And if I can get a copy of the slide deck too, I will send them both out to the senior class parents. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening and thank our panelists. It's been a great first week. And again, at any time you can contact Dr. Antone, Mr. McCormick, not a Beetle, and myself directly, and then we can definitely get your answers out. Okay, to everybody, thank you so much, and it's going to be a great journey this year, and we look forward to seeing you before graduation. But thank you again. Have a great evening, everybody.
Bye, and thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, folks. Take care.